Now, as we build our MyPad World app, which we started from the View application template, we have a lot of code in there already that we would like to understand how it works before we add to it and customize it. So typically what we do is we mark code sections so it'd be easier to find them. And we're going to do that in the View controller. Now we left off in the MyPad World View controller implementation file. And as you noticed, there was a statement here I mentioned, the pragma mark statement, which marks the life cycle section of the code. Now we're going to copy that by choosing Edit Copy so that we don't have to keep typing it. And we're going to mark out the rest of the code so that we know what's going on here. The pragma mark statement marks each territory, and the marks themselves appear when you're searching in the jump bar. Here's View Lifecycle's pragma mark statement. When we put more of them in, they will show up in here. The first thing we want to do is go down to the code we just put in, which was the dummy IB action statement right here, our placeholder. And we'll make a little room and choose Edit Paste, put in a pragma mark with a dash so it has a line in the menu up here. Remember, the View Lifecycle has a line right before it, and here's our one that we're working on. We're going to change this to controls. This is the target action method in which the settings are going to be set. The user types into the modal dialog or changes the speed setting. Or they'll come from the settings app, where the user can go into the settings app and set those things also. Now while we're here, we see that there are a couple of other methods we should mark off so we can find them later. This one here is an important one. So we'll choose Edit, Paste, and we'll put in what we want to call this one. This is where the view is unloaded. And we're going to be using this later to retain subviews of the main view. And also right below that is the should auto rotate to interface orientation method. And this is really where we control what happens when the device is rotated and the orientation switches from horizontal to vertical and back again. Here we will choose Edit, Paste, and we'll call this pragma mark orientation. By that we mean horizontal or vertical. Now we'll go all the way back up to the top here. And the very first method we encounter is a dealloc, which is memory management. So we're going to choose Edit, Paste, and we're going to change this one to, you guessed it, memory management. And that includes the did receive memory warning method, which releases the view if it doesn't have a super view or releases any cached data. So let's go back to our first one here, the pragma mark view lifecycle. Now the view did load method is already here for us. It's just commented out. As you recall, these marks here mark the beginning and end of a long comment. So if we delete those, both of those, the view did load method is now active. It does a super view did load, which is called after the controller's view is loaded into memory. And what we usually do here is implement additional setup after loading the view. Now what we're going to do, as you recall from the iPhone app, we used a timer to control the animation. And we used NSTimer. Let's type that in, NSTimer. And you use this class to create timer object, or more simply a timer, which waits a certain time interval and then fires, sending a specified message to a target object. So we are going to use the timer, and we're going to schedule it with the timer interval of 0.5 seconds. We're not going to use the invocation method. We're going to specify the target, which is self, which is this view controller, MyPad World View Controller. Have it select the onTimer method, which we have to write the code for, just like we did for the iPhone app. And our user info is nil because we really don't need any user info with the timer. And the repeat is yes, because we want the timer to repeat. And what is missing is our ending bracket, yes. There we go. And away goes our warning. That will set up our timer, which we can use to control our animation. Now we need to do the falling words. As you recall, we did this before. Falling words is an NS string that we're allocating and initializing with the string peace on earth. Now, although we're initializing this string, falling words, with peace on earth, we still will be able to have the user change those words through the settings method and the modal dialog. We also have to add the speed. And the same goes for the speed. We will be, again, setting an initial speed of 10, but the user will be able to set that speed later. And we will be putting in code later to deal with that. So now we've done a viewDidLoad method. We've set up the timer. It's going to use the onTimer method, and that will require yet another Pragma mark, more than just use the timer to record the time. We intend to use it, and I'll do an edit paste to paste that with our animation. So we'll put a Pragma mark animation. We're going to start this off with a placeholder method, void onTimer. And we're just going to put in the brackets for it. So we have the rudiments of our view. We have our falling words and our speed, and we're ready to start the animation block itself with our onTimer method. And that, folks, is going to take some coding because we intend to do something a little bit different than we did for the iPhone app.